Hi, my name's Nigel Andrew and I'm the chair of the Holsworth Wildlife Research Endowment Committee that looks after these grants on behalf of the Ecological Society of Australia. And this presentation is for continuing applicants of the Research Endowment who are wanting to apply for more funds in their second and third years of their endowment. So for you, again, congratulations on getting your research endowment last time, and you're applying as a continuing applicant. So when you come to the application forms on the ESA website, you'll be going down to the continuing applicants tab and finding the information there. If you apply for the new applicants, sort of using that application, it's very different in terms of the format and what you actually have to apply for. You're applying for money again, and that's not what we want. We want you to go through the continuing applicants forms. So what you should do, again, make sure that you, before you start filling out this, make sure that you do read the guidelines and also go through the continuing applicants website just to get an idea of what you have to do to extend your research endowment for the second and third years. They are different to what you did in the initial years, so you have to be aware of that and be aware of different aspects of the, providing updates on what you've achieved from the first year of the endowment, and also identify if you have any funds left over and what you're going to be doing with them before you apply for the next round of funding. So for either the second and third year of funding, make it clear in the budget what you are requesting. Because there is a different form for your second year and also for the third year or final year. So if you did apply and you were successful in your second year of funding, but you've only got 1 year left on your PhD, you'll be using the year 3 final year funding. So again, be careful of that in terms of what you're applying for. One of the things that you have to make it clear still what you are requesting in this budget. Don't just assume that we know what you're applying for. Make sure it is clear. If you haven't spent all your funds, you need to make it clear why not, and also make it clear that you're going to be spending those funds relatively quickly. Now, we understand, particularly in the recent 12 months, that you might not have spent all your funds. The general sort of way that we look at it, if it's less than $500 left in the balance, that's fine. If it's over $500, you need to start justifying it. And we understand things that can be delayed, but we also want to know if you're going to spend those funds relatively soon. If not, then you might actually wait for 6 months until the next round. Even if you did apply like in round 1 last year, you don't have to apply for round 1 again this year if you've still got a lot of funds left. You can wait to round 2 and apply for funds then. If you have over $1,000 left in your account, you need to very strongly justify why you still have those funds. And also you have to really anticipate that your budget will be a lot smaller in this round, because we'll actually take that into account, because the Holsworth Endowment Fund is there for you to spend your money, not to actually cash it away and wait to the end of the project. You're meant to be spending the funds throughout the program and according to the budget that you provided to us. So again, if you do have a relatively high amount of funds left in your account, you should wait until the next round before you apply again. Otherwise, you might well have your budgets reduced. Now in year 2, the budget form looks like this. It looks similar to the one that you did in your first year, except the requested funds are identified in year 2. Your received funds are in year 1, requested funds are in year 2, and predicted funds are in year 3. If you're year 3 or final year recipient, your requested funds are identified in year 3 and received funds in year 1 and year 2. Make sure you fill in the correct form. Again, if you fill in the wrong form, it makes it really difficult for us as for me as the chair and also the committee to identify what you're actually spending your money on, and relating your commentary about what you've achieved back to your actual budgets. And it's really important for us to be able to easily work back between what you've done, what you've achieved, and also the funds that have been spent by you. Make, again, similar to the first year, make sure that the items you request are relevant and explicit. Don't just ask for travel funds. Make it clear what you're going to be spending that money on, whether it's on field work, how far the trip is, how many trips, and what the cost of each trip is. And make it explicit values. Don't just round up because you think you'll get more money that way. We know that happens, but make it explicit because it's then your budget is then more realistic, and we identify that. We can see we've gone through a lot of these grants, both through Holsworth and a range of other grants. We understand what is an explicit budget versus what isn't. We're after explicit details in what you're after. Again, if you're getting funding from other sources, make that known. If you get it from university or industry funds, or from your supervisors or your colleagues have competitive funds, and you're going to be using some of that, make that clear in your budget. Remember, for Holsworth, the priority is for us to fund field work and also costs associated with your field work. We're not here to fund pure lab costs. The Holsworth Fund, again, the priorities for the fund is related to field work and field associated costs. So you need, if you are wanting to do lab work, that's fine, as long as you make it clear that the lab work you are doing is related to field work you have carried out. No one else, but you have to have carried out that field work. There has to be a direct relationship between the two. Again, make sure that everything's exact. Conferences, make it clear what conference you're going to. And if there is extra, obviously with the Holsworth Fund, if you're in your second year, you get $500 for a national conference, but you will most likely need other funds to actually go to the conference themselves. So make it clear where that money is coming from. And if you are going to an international conference, make sure you identify that as well. And with both of them, identify the registration costs, the flight costs, the accommodation costs, and what other support you're going to be provided to make that happen. So again, an idea of the budget as examples is here. Make sure that you've identified each of the individual items that you want money from, whether it's conferences or travel to field sites, whether it's field research costs, whether it's lab research costs, equipment that you need to buy. The equipment needs to be relevant to your project only. You can't buy it for the entire lab you're working within. Your equipment costs need to be specific to your project. To make that really explicit, if you need a field assistance, put that in and identify, even if they're not coming from the Holsworth Fund, put it in there because it's directly relevant to the Holsworth, to you being successful in the project that you're putting forward and getting Holsworth funding from. And it gives us confidence that we know that you're going to be successful with that project. In particular at the moment, when there are travel restrictions, we will pay for online international conferences or workshops. And but remember, that's for the final year only. So just be aware that you can't ask for an international conference in your middle year or your first year, or we just won't give it to you and we'll take that money out of your budget. Now, when it comes to the updates, so that's the budget's important, but also you need to provide a strong rationale in order for you to get the next round of funding. What changes have taken place? We know things change. We want to know about the project and how what you've achieved in the last 12 months with the Holsworth project, because that's really important for us to make sure that you are, you're getting the most out of the Holsworth funds and they're helping you with your research. So if there's been any changes, please tell us. We obviously know that projects change, and when there's been travel restrictions and movement restrictions, things have to change. So please make us aware of that. Also tell us what your project has achieved since you last received funding, what you've got out of it, and also any additional information. So this is, for example, if you haven't spent all your funds, what will they be spent on and when will they be spent? Ideally, the quicker the better. That money that is already in your account should be spent. So yeah, significant changes, they need to be flagged, particularly if there's change to the aim or questions that you initially posed and what impacts this has on the budget. What's been achieved, Holsworth funding helped to achieve your stated aims outcome. Anything extra, there's lots of different things that come out of it. If you had a publication come out, that's fantastic. Let us know. Let us celebrate your achievements as well. And yeah, additional information. Why is it, particularly if there's been an underspend? If you've still got $500 or more left in your account, you need to explain why. When will it be spent? And also, why aren't you waiting 6 months until requesting further funding? In general, it's really important for us to have sort of confidence in giving you extra money. We want to give it to you. We don't want to hold it back. We want to give you the money. And so make sure you provide a good summary of how you've spent the funds previously, so we are confident that you'll continue to spend the money and do great research. If you have a poor report and a sloppy budget, expect your budget to be reduced. Previous rounds, we have been giving out around 89% of the funds. So the amount of funds that you have asked for might not be the same as what you're given or what is given to your sort of the research office at your university. The funding amounts will change depending on the amount of money that we get from the endowment fund, but also can be dependent on your report. So the amount of money you get is never guaranteed. And these are assessed by the Holsworth panel. So me as chair and the other committee members will assess these. They won't necessarily go back to your assessors. But if we need to, we might actually contact your referees if there's some ambiguity in this report. And remember, the funding contract is with your university, not with you. So don't go assuming you're getting all your funds before the university signs the contract with ESA, because we need to actually have a formal agreement in place with the university to release the funds. And they also need to be happy with you, also to be able to accept the funds. So that needs to be made sure that you are aware of that. And again, good luck with your applications for more funding. And again, good luck with all the research you're currently doing with your PhDs, and hopefully it's all going well. Thanks very much.